Hi, my name is Goldman, and I'm an attorney with Goldman and Associates. Our firm does a lot of work involving domestic relations work. We've been doing it for a long time, and we do it very well. And today, I'd like to talk to you guys about a special topic. The topic is, so you want to get divorced. What's the divorce checklist? Well, there's a lot of things that a person should do before they get involved in a divorce. We call it the divorce checklist, but it doesn't really, I don't mean to suggest that it's something you got to write down, but certainly mentally you should develop a checklist of things that should be done in anticipation of getting a divorce. Number one, do we have children? We got to note that in our checklist, because if we have children, we have to deal with issues in the divorce, potentially for custody, parenting time, child support. Those are issues involved with children. So we need to figure that out. It's like building a building. We need a blueprint, and in order to get the blueprint, we got to know what we're putting in the building. So item number one on our checklist, do we have children and what are we doing with them? Another thing that's got to be in our checklist is item number two, do we have any property that has to be divided? Now, a lot of people think, well, I got stuff in my name and he's got stuff in his name, but nothing that's got to be divided. Well, folks, that ain't how it works, okay? It's not about whose name something is in. Fact of the matter is, it's about when you got it. If you bought property in your own name, but it's during the marriage, the presumption is going to be that that's marital property. It's going to be in play when we talk about dividing stuff. So when we look at our checklist, we got to see, do we have any property? Property means real estate. Could also mean stocks and bonds, mutual funds, money in the bank, 401k, IRA. All of these things are part of what property is, and we got to look at that in our checklist because that's an item that we have to consider. Number three, what about debts? Do we owe anybody money? Visa, MasterCard, IRS, medical bills, anything like that. So when we look at our initial checklist to figure out what's part of our project, we got to look at children, we got to look at property, we got to look at debts. Now, another thing we have to consider is support. We already talked about child and child support. What we're talking about now is spousal support, or what we used to call alimony. Spousal support comes about if there's three primary things, and then there's some factors, but these are the three primary things. A lot of times lawyers won't tell you this, because a lot of things in the law are kept like secret. It's like only the lawyers know, they don't part with this information, so note this. You've got three primary aspects in dealing with whether or not a person's eligible for alimony. Number one, duration of the marriage, how long you married. A 30-year marriage, there's a presumption that there should be some alimony. A 2-year marriage, probably not. Something in the middle, 8, 9, 10 years, all right, so you get closer to an alimony concept. Number two, disparity of income. Who makes more money? If the parties have a long marriage but they make the same amount of money, it's probably not an alimony case. On the flip side, if wife is making 3 times more than husband, that's probably an alimony case if the marriage is long enough. And number three, there has to be disposable income to pay the alimony. In other words, long-term marriage, somebody makes way more money than the other, but they spend every penny they have because of their lifestyle, they live check to check, may not be an alimony case because there's no disposable income to pay it. So that's an example of the three things that primarily fit into alimony. So when you're doing your checklist, when you're trying to figure out, should I get divorced or what's involved in my getting divorced, you've got to look at these three items. You've got to look at that as it relates to alimony. So you've got your child issues, you've got your property issues, you've got your debt issues, and then your spousal support. Those are the main things you look at in your divorce checklist before you start putting that blueprint together. Once you know those things, then you can start sorting out, how is this picture going to look? When it's all over, how much money am I going to have to live on? Will I have support? If I have children, what am I going to get in child support? How long will the children be with me? How long will they be with the other parent? Then you got to look at other issues. How are we going to retire debt? If we owe a lot of money, we got to get that paid off. How are we going to divide the asset? Who's going to get the house? If there's equity in the house, somebody's staying, someone's going, who's paying who? All of these issues have to be part of your divorce checklist. Once you figure out that general framework, you can take that to a lawyer and say, hey, this is what we got. This is how I'm thinking it should go. Now, why don't you weigh in on it and tell us what you think? If you do it that way, you're going to be far further along in the divorce process. If you have any questions, circle back to us, and of course, we'll be glad to help you.